tweet comes after Republican lawmakers make a rare move to try and have the governor's executive orders overturned. As Mike McDaniel explains, it's an effort that will likely end up in court, showcasing partisan politics and how to best handle reopening.
I apologize to no one for the decisions I have made.
In a passionate response Friday, Governor John Bel Edwards addressed a House petition filed by Republican lawmakers demanding he overturn his executive actions on COVID-19 for a week, like phased reopening and a statewide mask mandate.
They are acting as if that public health emergency is over, and in fact, we have a public health emergency.
Edwards says the petition is a move that would effectively end the COVID-19 public health emergency and could jeopardize federal funding and state aid to local governments.
It's reckless and irresponsible and unconscionable.
The move comes as spikes in new coronavirus cases are happening all over the country. Thankfully, Edwards says Louisiana is doing better than neighboring states, but notes that can change. As of Friday afternoon, there were nearly 179,000 coronavirus cases in Louisiana, with just more than 5,600 deaths.
What we're seeing now in our contemporary climate is hyper-party polarization.
Anna Mahoney, administrative assistant professor at Tulane University, says politically divided state government mixed with different views on solving problems is leading to the showdown.
COVID itself being a huge economic and public health crisis is an opportunity then for those two different political outlooks to come to a clash.
Currently, Phase 3 restrictions allow most businesses to operate at 75% capacity with required social distancing. Edwards says keeping those guidelines and the mask mandate in place isn't something he's willing to turn back on.
The mitigation measures are working in Louisiana.
Mike McDaniel, Eyewitness News.
Well, as of earlier this afternoon, Edwards said he had not seen the full petition. Since it's not a bill, he can't simply veto it, and it's expected to end up in court. Now, we did reach out to the House leadership about this petition, but we did not hear back. On nearly 8 months into the pandemic, over 1.1 million lives worldwide, more than 223,000 of them just in the United States. And the virus is surging once again with over 71,000 new infections reported Thursday across the country, the fourth highest total since the pandemic began.